Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here I will discuss how to create a general journal. The first thing we have to record the title of our work. The title starts from the name of the company here. For example, Salon Dewi. We can give the name quotation mark. Then below is the general journal format. Then the period. The period is July 2020. We see that according to the case, this period shows that the transactions that we recorded in the general journal are from the beginning of July to the end of July. Then below that, we give information in rupiah units. It can be in rupiah units or in thousand of rupiah. It's up to you. Generally, if for example here the nominal column is enough for all numbers, then we make it in rupiah units. Then if here we have given in rupiah units, then in the debit or credit column, we don't need to give rupiah again. If for example there is no rupiah units here, then in debit credit we must give a rupiah unit. Then we give it a peg. We give it the peg according to what peg it is. For the columns, date to record the transaction date. We fill in the document number with the document number as proof of the transaction on each date. Description is that we fill in the account that affect each transaction. The account consists of two accounts, at least two or more accounts. Then for recording in the remarks column, we must first record the debit and then the credit. The debit must be written close to the line. Then the credit is slightly in or slightly indent. After that, the reference column. We fill the reference with the account number, but we fill it in at the time of posting to the ledger. Later when we want to move it to the ledger. And then the columns in the debit and credit section are to record the nominal value of each account that affects. So for example, if the cash is made in the amount 5 million, then we leave the credit blank or we cross it out. Then Mrs. Dewi Capital is on the credit side, meaning the next one is crossed out, then we give the credit a nominal value. So if it is on the debit side, we cross out the credit. If it is on the credit side, we must cross out the debit. Then we give a description of this transaction. The description for that one is a capital suite. We make the description as short as possible. Then pay attention to filling in the date. The first line can be filled with the year or we can move the year underneath this date too. Then if for example we put it on the first line, then we leave the first line blank until the last. Then for recording the month and date of the first transaction, we put it below it. Because this happened in one period, we only read the month once at the top itself. Then on the first date, we sort the recording of the account because this is in the capital deposit and only money is deposit. It means that the debit is only cash. The writing of cash must be in order with the date. So the top account itself must be in order with the date. It cannot be above it. Then for the amount we also sort it. For the credit we read is slightly indented. It can be 3 steps or how many. The points is not too in and not too close. Next to the credit, then we empty it. Then we read the nominal. The nominal in each even or on each date between debit and credit must be balanced. So every time we read this, we have to see if the debits and credits are equal. Next, we have to record for the second date, which is a bank loan from BRI Bank. Then our cash increases, means on the debit side, Then bank debit on the credit side. Here we give a description of our debit. We must explain the relationship with the debit below. So the debit to whom must be clear. Here is the BRI bank loan. Next for day 3, equipment was purchased from Mrs. Novita. The purchase was partly on credit, so equipment is on the debit side, cash is on the credit side, accounts payable is also on the credit side. So here, Mrs. Novita is related to accounts payable. Then what if, for example, on page 1 there is not enough to continue to the next page? Then here we total it first. For example, on the 6th date, we cannot put the equipment in debit and then put the credit on the next page. Not allowed. So, from one date it must all be on one page. It cannot be separated. This is an example that is correct. So, the 6th date is account payable. Here if we look at the debit to the Omega store, then we move it. So, we move it to total everything so that the debit and credit are the same amount. Then we continue to the next page, page 2. On page 2, we also have to create the title. We also create the columns. Then here we create the second page. On the second page above itself, after we make this year, we give the amount July, which is the 6th date obtained from the last transaction on the first page. That means this balance is until the 6th date, so the transfer of 12,950,600 obtained from this, we move it. The next date, the 7th date, we record the next transaction like this. The date must be in order with the account that is debited above itself. Then if there is a receivable here, there must be a name. If there is a relationship with a debt, there must also be a name. So it is clear that here is a receivable from Miss Clara. Will this her account receivable to Mrs. Stephanie? Then for the repayment of this debt owed to Mrs. Novita. Then we have closed everything. We have entered everything. Then we total it. The total must be the same. Then we put two lines like this as a sign that this journal works has been completed. Thus, we make general journal happily useful. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.